Hello. Now, over the last 4 years and 8 months, I've made 296 videos, and most of them have been here in this workshop. This video is going to be completely off topic, and I'm going to do a right moan about UK public services. Now, these are going to be real practical examples because I've reached a point where I just can't believe how bad it is, and I'll share them with you. But if you don't like this sort of thing, don't send me snotty comments, just don't watch it. But please don't unsubscribe because I'm only going to do this once. I'm not going to turn into a regular moaner. Well, first off, let me give you a couple of examples with the department that we all love to hate anyway, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, so the tax office. My daughter got a message quite a long time ago, said you need to submit a tax return. It was to do with her child benefit and her earnings. So you probably guess from that she needs to pay some money back. So she applied online to have a government gateway logon, because actually the tax office does operate some quite good digital services. So she applied for her logon, and it's supposed to take, I don't know, a few days. You might hear a noise in the background, it's just the fan, it's quite cold in here. Anyway, after 3 or 4 months, this thing had still not arrived, so she phones them. Where's my logon? I've got to submit this tax return. I owe you some money. I'm a good citizen. I want to do this. Oh, it says on the website how long it takes. Yes, okay, it does. And it's been months longer than it says. Call handler says, well, you just have to wait. So she receives a message just recently. 2 years. It's taken 2 years to get a logon. And now she has to complete tax returns for 2 years. Fair enough. But 2 years for money, to pay back money that she owes to them, that she's willing to pay. 2 years. Another example for them, with this YouTube lark, I get a little bit of money from it, not much, bit of advertising revenue for the adverts that come on before and after these videos. And we get paid from Ireland. Well, because we're paid from the Republic of Ireland, we have to submit a certificate of residence for the UK, and I think this happens in Europe as well if you're paid from Ireland, to confirm that you actually live here, to claim off a tax treaty so we don't have to pay withholding tax in the Republic of Ireland. We have to do the same thing for America as well, because Google YouTube is an American company, but that's fairly easy to do. But I needed to get a certificate of residence, so you're supposed to get that within 2 weeks. After 7 months, I phoned them. Where is it? Spoke to a very nice person who was very helpful, but each time I asked him a question, he had to ask another team and then come back to me. So, where is it? Oh, well, they say that you didn't put on it the end date. I said, well, it's for YouTube, it's my hobby. When am I going to die, right? If you know when I'm going to die, then you'll know the end date. Oh, leave it with us, we'll look at it. It arrived the next day. It's like half a page of A4. Anybody could have written in it. Just says, to whom it may concern, Paul lives in the UK. 7 months that took. There are so many examples of that sort of inefficiency with HMRC. Never mind taking, I don't know, an hour and a half to get them on the phone. In fact, actually, after 70 minutes, they automatically cut you off. And something like 20% of calls are cut off automatically after 70 minutes. And these are people just trying to pay their tax and query their tax. So that's enough for them. Okay, if that isn't bad enough. So let's quickly do the NHS. Now, don't jump on me here. I'm not going to say the NHS is rubbish, but I'll just explain. My wife got a message saying she needed to have a blood test. Didn't tell her what it was for or anything, just said you need to have a blood test. Now, we're not too far away from the surgery, so that's really convenient. And she went online. You can book your blood test online. So she went online. Well, there were no opportunities to have blood taken at the local surgeries. So she sent them a message electronically saying, please, could I have my blood test locally at the Haxby surgery? And the message came back saying, we'll refer you to the community nurse. Okay, I didn't ask for that, but fine, okay. So then my wife gets a call from the GP, and he said, well, why do you want to see the community nurse? Are you housebound? And my wife said, I'm not housebound. I just want my blood taken at the local surgery. Oh, we don't do that anymore. It's all been centralised, and we only take blood in certain places in this local area, and they're all about 4 or 5 miles away. Well, my wife doesn't drive, and a lot of people in the UK don't drive, so she'd have to get a bus. Okay, she can do that. Let me finish the story. But he said, but you have to come to the surgery first to get a sticker. Sticker? Well, I think he means a blood's order form, but he said a sticker. So this afternoon she's going to get her sticker, then she has to come away. Then, okay, I can take her today, but often I wouldn't be able to take her, so she'd have to get a bus. Well, that's probably start to finish an hour. The last time I went to the giving blood for myself, a blood sample, I waited in line for an hour and a half, and then it's like an hour to get back again. Well, if you don't drive and you're working, that could be half a day out of your work. Now, the UK has got a serious problem with falling productivity. So somebody somewhere in the local primary care commissioning body has said, oh, we can save some money by centralising all of this. But they're not really taking into account the cost to the economy. Now, I know for some people it will be an advantage to them because they happen to live not near the surgery, they happen to live near to where they take blood, but they've still got to get to the surgery to get a sticker. Right, not too much. Right, different topic now. This is kind of sort of public services, talking about water utilities. So I've just been speaking to somebody I know that's in business, and he has an office. He owns a property, and in that property he's got an office, and he sees clients, professional services, he sees clients. Now, he had a problem and he had to have his premises refurbished, and after that he needed the water reconnecting. So he was told on, I think, the 6th of January, our water utility, which happens to be Yorkshire Water, would come and reconnect his services. Well, they didn't come, and they didn't come, and they didn't come. And what are we now? It's now the 10th of February, and they haven't been. So he's trying to operate his business with no water, can't even use the toilet. So then he calls and calls, and they say, well, the problem is we have to dig a hole in the path to connect your property. And the path is near a school. And the York Council will only allow certain people to dig certain holes at certain times, and we'll have to do it during the school holidays. And he said, well, when's that? Well, it's not as easy as that, because other people have already applied to dig their holes, and we're kind of at the end of the queue, so we could probably do it in May. So it's February now, he's been waiting since the 6th of January, and it's like a 1 foot square hole, about that, in a path. That's all they have to do. And the utility company said, but you can get your own plumber to do it. Oh, can I? Well, I didn't even know that. Well, let's look into that then. So he speaks to, I think it was York Council, and York Council said, yes, we will allow that. But they need to be Streetworks registered or something. They have to be certified to dig a hole in a path. Well, I don't think a lot of the ordinary plumbers would be certified to dig a hole in a path, meaning, to be covered for the insurance and liabilities and all those other things. So I've just left him fighting that battle. How is he supposed to operate his business? Yes, he can write reports at home, but he has to see his clients in the office. If he tries to do that at home, he'll be hit with business rates on his home and investigations and all of that sort of rubbish. So there's another example. 5 months to connect a supply for a business. To dig a hole a foot long and just connect 2 pipes together. And I've got lots of other examples of that. Let's talk about smart meters. Now, the government's been running a smart meter program here for, I don't know, pick a number. Let's say 10 or 12 years. I don't really remember how long. And in the north of England, we connect via a private radio network, which isn't that reliable. And large parts of the north can't actually connect to the network at all. Now, why does this matter? Well, it matters because the people who don't have smart meters are paying potentially a lot more for their electricity. If you've got an EV, or if you've got something that runs at night and a few other cases, you can't get onto the smart tariffs. And these savings can be substantial. So, in the south of England, and this is not a north-south thing, but in the south of England, the smart meters connect via the cell phone mobile network. For whatever reason, the people who manage these things, government, won't allow the meters in the north to connect via the mobile network. So people don't realise, they maybe think, oh, I don't want the government snooping on me because I've, this smart meter thing, they could turn my electricity off. Well, they're not really, it's benefit to us because we can get the intelligent tariffs, and I'm saving lots of money. At this house, I do have an electricity meter that will connect. But I know people who've had their meters changed 3 and 4 times, and each time they say it won't connect, they come and put in another meter. From what I understand, they can't even begin to look into it until you've had 3 meters submitted, fitted, connected, 3, and they know they're not going to work, but they get into this process. Now, if you go to the regulator, what are they called? Ofgem. They say it's not their responsibility. You've got to ask your energy supplier. The energy supplier says, well, we can't connect because there's no signals, so there's nothing we can do. The whole thing is managed by something called the DCC, which is run by a company called Capita, or it was last time I checked. If you approach the DCC, they say, we can't give you the coverage maps because they're commercially sensitive. Because I suspect, and I know a bit more than I'm saying, the government has locked it all down because it was a political programme, but it is actually now, maybe not when it was first conceived, but now there's a lot of benefit to us if we can get onto these cheaper tariffs. And the UK pays about the highest business electricity rate in the developed world, I think. Certainly much more than America and in Europe. So there's money to be saved if we could just only connect. Why can't they just sort it out? It's whatever, right. Land registry. So when we move house here, the property is registered with land registry. Now, last time I checked, land registry would only accept payment on postal orders and cheques. Now, there are a lot of young people, younger than me, obviously, who've never even seen a cheque. They don't even know what it is. Postal orders, I didn't even know they still existed. And after COVID, registrations of properties were taking something like a year. Fix it. And I'm going to give you just one more, because you're probably fed up by now, but I just got to get this off my chest. Office of the Public Guardian. So, my dad, when he was alive, he had dementia. He wouldn't agree to power of attorney. It was just his thing. He didn't see the reason for it. That was when he was, all there. He wouldn't go for it. Once he got his dementia, I'm the only person who could look after his affairs, and I tried to get what's called power of deputy. If the person won't agree to power of attorney, then you can apply for what's called power of deputy. And my dad by then was nearly going into a care home. He couldn't manage his financial affairs. His accounts were pretty much locked down, so we couldn't get to his money to pay for his care. And I approached a couple of lawyers locally to say, can I apply for power of deputy? And they said, don't bother. Don't bother. How old is he? Well, he was in his 90s, but he was still fit and well, even though he'd lost his mind. They said, don't bother, because it'll take you at least a year. It'll cost you quite a bit of money. You'll submit a request to manage his affairs. The court, the Office of the Public Guardian, which means the court, the family court in effect, would have to rule if you can be given authority. They'll ask you a lot of questions. You'll submit a lot of answers. They'll ask you another lot of questions. They'll submit another lot of answers. You submit those answers. They'll ask you the same questions that they asked you in the beginning, and a load of other stupid questions as well. So you're just going round in loops. And then they'll say no. So just wait till he dies. Just don't bother, because it's a complete waste of time. And these are lawyers, right? Private lawyers who are telling us this. They're so useless. don't bother. And then, I'll just slip one more on the end. When we came to do our powers of attorney for ourselves, they lost mine. They just said, we're ever so sorry to say that we don't seem to find it on our records. But here's an office copy, because we managed to make a copy before we lost it. So you can have the office copies, which means like a certified copy, but we don't have any originals because somehow they got lost in our system. And then a few weeks later we're very pleased to tell you that we found the copies that we lost. So they're just, I could give you 50 examples of complete uselessness. How can, now I'm getting like on a roll now. I mean, how can they be so bad? So the politicians are saying, I'm not knocking any politician because they're all the same anyway, right? It doesn't matter who they are, right? Just fix it. Just fix these basic operational things. Never mind about highfalutin political policies. Just fix the basics. And with that, have a nice day.